Okay, so today I wanted to talk about a little something that if you know me, you know I love, and that is Shakespeare. So before you click off of this video and you're like, oh, this is super boring, I don't like Shakespeare, I am not actually talking about the plays themselves. I'm talking about the book adaptations that I own, that I've read, that I love, and I wanted to share them all with you guys. So I've been trying to kind of collect as many Shakespeare adaptations or anything that's like Shakespeare adjacent, Shakespeare related that I can find. So I have found quite a few books, I think maybe around 9 books, and I'm definitely trying to collect more. So if you guys have any suggestions, leave them in a comment down below and I'll check them out, see if I can, you know, maybe buy a copy. And I actually keep them all in a very specific little part of my bookshelf, and it's right here behind me. And I have all of my plays in here, and this is also where I keep all of my adaptations as well. So without further ado, I'm going to get into talking about all of the Shakespeare related Shakespeare adaptations that I own. So the first one I want to talk about is one I've actually recently purchased, I think within the last month or so, and that is Speak Easy, Speak Love by Mikel George. And this is actually a Much Ado About Nothing retelling, and I am super excited about this one. I actually haven't read it yet, but I do know that it's set in a speakeasy, so somewhere around the 1920s, and I absolutely love Much Ado About Nothing. So if you've never heard of that play before and you don't know what it's about, basically it's like a hate to love romance comedy. It's just so good and fun, and all the characters are really awesome. There are characters like Hero, there's Claudio, there's Beatrice and Benedict, there's Don Pedro, there's Don John, and they all kind of come together and so much chaos ensues. And basically, Hero falls in love with Claudio, and Beatrice and Benedict hate each other, so it's definitely this hate to love romance between those two. And if you love hate to love, you're gonna really like this story. And I'm so excited to actually read this retelling, because I haven't found a retelling of this particular play that I love yet. So I'm hoping that this one might be the one that I really enjoy. I've heard so many good things about it. So many people have recommended it to me, and I finally was able to get my hands on a copy. I think I'm gonna try to read it next month. I'm not sure, but I'll let you guys know when I do read it what I think of it. The next one is another retelling that I've purchased lately. I actually found this one at my library's book sale, and that is Still Star-Crossed by Melinda Tobe. And I'm pretty sure that this is also a TV show. That's what I've been told. I'm pretty sure that the TV show Still Star-Crossed that was on, I think, a year or so ago, I think it did get canceled, but that was based off of this book, which is based off of Romeo and Juliet. So this is a reimagining of Romeo and Juliet, where Romeo and Juliet die, but no one really learns anything from their deaths. That's what I'm pretty much gathering from reading the synopsis of this book. And basically, I think this follows some other characters that are possibly in the play or not mentioned in the play. I'm not really sure. It's kind of unclear from reading the synopsis exactly what it's about, but it just seems to be a continuation of Romeo and Juliet. And I've heard some really good things about this one, so I have high hopes for it. And I definitely want to watch the TV show as well, possibly after I finish this one. I don't think I'll watch it before, so I'll let you all know what I think of it. But from what I've been told from people that I really trust and that I'm friends with, they all really liked this one, so I'm hoping that I'll also really like it. This next one is actually one I have read, and I did finish. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and that is The Only Thing Worse Than Me Is You by Lily Anderson. And Lily Anderson is quickly becoming one of my new favorite authors. I did read Undead Girl Gang last year, and I really loved it, and I read this one I think 2 months ago. A month ago, 2 months ago. At some point, in the past 2 months, I read this book, and I really enjoyed it. This is a modern retelling of Much Ado About Nothing. As I said earlier in this video, one of my favorite plays, and I kind of explained it to you guys. And basically, like I said, it's a hate to love romance comedy. If somehow you haven't heard me talk about how much I love Nothing Much to Do, which is a YouTube adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing, you would not understand how amazing that modern adaptation is. I think that Much Ado About Nothing is like the perfect Shakespeare play to adapt to like modern times. It works so perfectly. And this is also, I'm pretty sure, Lily Anderson's debut novel, which is kind of cool, and I think it was absolutely phenomenal for a debut novel. It definitely reminded me of the YouTube series Nothing Much to Do. I feel like if you really like contemporary novels and rom-coms and stuff like that, I think you're really going to enjoy the adaptations of Much Ado About Nothing. I think it's literally perfect, and it's so good in like a modern setting, and I really, really recommend this book. It was so perfect, and I feel like even if you haven't read Much Ado About Nothing, you're still really gonna like this book, so I totally recommend it. The next one is less of an adaptation and more just kind of having to do with Shakespeare, just Shakespeare related in some way. I haven't personally read it yet, and that is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and I've heard so many good things about this book lately. Literally, I feel like for a while I wasn't really hearing anything about it, and then there was like a resurgence of like hype about this book, and I just am so excited to get to this one. This one doesn't really have much to do about like a specific play, I don't believe, but I'm pretty sure that this follows a Shakespeare troupe. I'm pretty sure that there's also a murder, I want to say. I'm pretty sure it's kind of like a mystery thing. This is actually an adult book or a new adult book, something in that sort of age range. So I haven't really read too many kinds of books like this specifically, but this has been on my shelf for so long. I've wanted to read it for so long, and I really need to get to it. And I feel like the premise is really, really interesting. It kind of reminds me maybe of like an adult version of A Study in Charlotte mixed with Shakespeare and a little darker. That's just the vibe I'm getting from it, so I'm really excited and I hope I enjoy it. I'll let you guys know when I finally read it. I hope that I'll actually get to put this into my Biblio Games TBR for June, so maybe I'll get to it sooner rather than later, which would be really nice, and I'm so excited about this one. The next book has even less to do with Shakespeare than the other books, and I really only wanted to talk about this one because I really love the title of this book, and it definitely pertains to Shakespeare within the title, and that is This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada. I've heard so many good things about this book, so I'm definitely really excited about it. And if you're curious about what I meant earlier, This Mortal Coil is a quote from Hamlet, and Hamlet is one of my all-time favorite plays. I do have a Hamlet related tattoo, if you can see that. It's kind of hard to show on camera. It's an Ophelia related tattoo, and Ophelia is a character in Hamlet. So basically I decided to add this book into this list mainly because of the title, but it's also a super interesting book. It's kind of sci-fi. It deals a lot with this virus that's going around, and the main character's father has been killed, and he actually had a cure for this virus, and she has to go on this quest to go find the cure. And I think that it sounds really interesting. I'm not usually into sci-fi, but this sounds like a sci-fi that I'd be able to get into. And I just love the cover. I mean, it looks so cool. It also has a home on my Shakespeare shelf mainly because of the title. So not super Shakespeare related, but I felt like it was enough that I could add it into this video. This next book is a little more related to Shakespeare than the last one, and that's The Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason by Virginia Boecker. And I haven't actually heard very much about this book, whether it be positive or negative. I feel like a lot of people haven't actually read this book yet, and I'm pretty sure it came out last year. Also, I really love this book because it does have deckled edges, and I love deckled edges. Basically, this is about this girl, and her father has been accused of treason, I believe, for being a practicing Catholic. So basically, the main character disguises herself and goes off to London, and this is during the time when Shakespeare's alive, so he is actually going to present this play to the Queen, and I'm guessing that the main character kind of gets into this Shakespeare play thing, and maybe she's acting in it, I don't know. But this seems to be something that might be kind of along the lines of Shakespeare in Love. If you've ever seen that movie, I love that movie. It's so cute. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's just like so great. And this kind of sounds similar to that in some aspects, and I'm definitely interested in seeing what I feel about this book. I love historical fiction, so this definitely checks off a lot of my boxes, and I anticipate that I'm really going to enjoy it. And I love that it's kind of set during the time of Shakespeare rather than just a retelling of a Shakespeare play. I think that that's really cool, and I don't see too many books like that. But I mean, if you have, then let me know, because I love historical fiction, I love Shakespeare, and putting those two together, it's just kind of perfect. So if you haven't been counting, I already have 2 retellings of Much Ado About Nothing. And like I said, it's one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. Well, get ready, because I have a 3rd one. And that is Nothing Happened by Molly Booth. So this is a modern retelling of Much Ado About Nothing set during a summer camp where the main characters are all going to be camp counselors. And I am so excited about this book. I have had this on my shelf for so long, and I feel like I just keep putting it off because I'm like, it's not summer yet, it's not summer yet. But I definitely want to read this one, possibly in like July or August. I think it'll be the perfect prime time to read something that's set in a summer camp. And like I said, I love Much Ado About Nothing. I think that's pretty obvious by now. I have so many Much Ado About Nothing retellings to read, and I am just so hyped. I love this play so much, and I think it works so perfectly in a modern setting like this one is. Just 2 more books left, and I think you might know what these books are, and that is Always Never Yours, and If I'm Being Honest, both by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. And I am currently reading this one. I'm like right in the middle of it. And then this one I just recently got because it just recently came out. And this is a kind of semi-retelling of Romeo and Juliet. It just has a lot to do with Romeo and Juliet. Basically, the main character is cast as Juliet in a play for high school, and the main character is kind of the type of girl where she gets together with a guy, she's very flirtatious, and things are going well, but then suddenly he breaks up with her and ends up moving on to another girl who kind of becomes his like one true love. So she's always like the girl right before, kind of the Rosaline. And I have been really enjoying this book. I don't know why I put it down. I just like kind of started reading other books and it distracted me, and I really need to start reading this one again. And then this one is basically a retelling of Taming of the Shrew, kind of a la 10 Things I Hate About You. If you've ever seen that movie, that's also a retelling of Taming of the Shrew. Super good, love that movie. I actually haven't read Taming of the Shrew yet. I really need to. I know my brother has and he really enjoyed it, but I definitely need to read that play. Anyway, this is a retelling of that one, and basically the main character is kind of going on this apology spree. She kind of realizes that she's been a little harsh for a lot of her life, and she has to apologize to some people, mainly because I think the guy that she likes doesn't like her back because she's kind of mean. And so I'm super excited to see how this one plays out. I really enjoy the writing style. It's super fun and light and fluffy, and I think that this one's going to be really amazing. And also the covers are so pretty. Like literally, I actually bought this one only because of the cover, because I saw it and I'm like, ooh, immediately have to buy it. And then I found out it had to do with Shakespeare, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So I'm super excited for both of these books. All right, so those were all of my Shakespeare retellings or Shakespeare inspired books. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you guys have any other suggestions for these similar kind of books, let me know in a comment down below. Also, feel free to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!